Hello everyone, it's Cameron and welcome to another video. Now today we're going to be doing another video, as I say. Today we're going to be going over my Del Shannon albums collection, vinyl collection to show. I thought I'd do this video today because today is February 8th, 2025. And on this day in 1990 we lost Del Shannon. So I wanted to do something on the 35th anniversary of his passing and show off my records that I own by him. And just go over them and talk about them in detail and go over my singles and all my albums. And there's some bits at the end I'm going to show that are not vinyl related, but I just want to show them anyway as a kind of guide to, you know, Del Shannon's music. So we're going to start with singles now. Obviously Del Shannon is well remembered for this song, Runaway, in 1961. This is an original on the London label. The B-side is Jodie, one of my favourite Del Shannon songs there. Love that song there. Still missing a lot of singles, but I'm going to still keep my eye out for them. Another great one, The Swiss Maid, backed with Ginny in the Mirror. It's a bit hard to see when it's like but this is on the London label. Another copy of Swiss Maid that I got in a job lot. Another great one, Little Town Flirt, one of my favourites there, 1962 it says, backed with the Wamboo. Two Kinds of Teardrops from 1963, backed with Kelly. Still missing a lot of singles, as I say, but I'm going to still keep my eye out for them. I actually have one in the post, but it's not yet arrived, a copy of Sue's Gotta Be Mine on the Burley label. Now, I ordered this on the 22nd of January, and it was meant to be, the estimated delivery date was either the 25th to the 30th of January or the 4th to the 8th. It was confusing. It's still not yet arrived, so yeah, the video will now have to do without it for now. It'll probably be on the next vinyl update if it ever turns up. I don't know, we'll just have to wait and see on that one. But if it doesn't come by the middle of the week, I may have to see about getting my money back in a new copy. But anyways, moving along now, we're now on a different label in the UK. We're now on the stateside label, Handyman from 1964, and Give Her Lots of Lovin'. One of his big hits here, Keep Searching, Will Follow the Sun, 1964, backed with Broken Promises. One of my favourite Del Shannon B-sides, along with Kelly and Jodie and The Answers to Everything as well. Here's a new one which I managed to find on eBay. It's a real rarity. It's I Can't Believe My Ears from 1966 on the stateside label, backed with I Wish I Wasn't Me Tonight. Really glad to find this one on eBay, and I'll show that in my next vinyl update. And Runaway from this is a reissue from 1975 on the Contemporaries label, backed with Keep Searching again. Both great songs. This is from like a compilation album that they put out called The Best of Del Shannon. But yeah, nice to find that one. Now we're going to go over the albums. Now I don't have every Del Shannon album on vinyl as of yet. Some of them are very difficult to get hold of. But I'll explain what they are when we kind of touch upon on them. But we're going to start with this one. This was his first album. This is Runaway with Del Shannon. 1961. Really great debut album. One of my favourite debuts of the 60s. And one of my favourite debut albums in general. Back cover. These are all the songs there. There's a nice picture of Del. So as I say, this copy is a mono on the London label. I really liked Misery, Daydreams. His version of Elvis is his latest flame. Obviously Runaway, there's great ones like The Prom, I Wake Up Crying, Lies, and Jodie. See, and I'll Always Love You and Wide Wide World, He Doesn't Care. The whole album is a really great album. Definitely one of Del's best in my humble opinion. And this copy, as I say, is mono on the London label. Cover's a little bit kind of worn, but the record, which is on the Purple London label, plays well, which is good. There's the label there. So Del's label in America was Big Top, but in the UK, London released his records for the first the first 2 and a bit years until 1964, when he switched over to stateside for UK release. So yeah, there's that one, really great one there, Runaway with Del Shannon, his debut. Then we get this one, which is called Hats Off to Del Shannon. It's a kind of a The title's taken from one of his other hits and one of my other favourite songs by him, Hats Off to Larry. This record is a mix of songs that were kind of single tracks, B-side songs as well. Stuff that hadn't yet come out on an album in any format. But it was only ever issued in the UK, and I don't know why Big Top never issued this as an album. Because this album came out around about the time of Del's UK tour of 1963. Again, it's mono on the London label. The songs are down there. So we get things like The Swiss Maid, and other gems on here include Cry Myself to Sleep, I Won't Be There, Hats Off to Larry, The Answer to Everything, which is said to be a lot of people's favourites, Hey Little Girl, I'm Gonna Move On, and So Long Baby as well. Loads of great songs in here, I must say. Another great ones as well include You Never Talked About Me and Ginny in the Mirror, which Del said in an interview he hated. But anyway, there's a nice picture there, Del. And there's some other nice ones there. So this one is a bit kind of tatty and a bit kind of worn, but again, record itself plays well, and it is an original on the London label again. There we are in London. There's that one. And then we get another great one. This is the album Little Town Flirt, released in 1963. And again, much like the other two, this is an original mono on the London label. And this is a really nice copy. I was really lucky to get this on eBay, and it's a lovely copy. The cover is like really shiny. There's a nice glossy kind of feel to it. The back, a little bit of staining in there, but apart from that, it's like really white. There's a bit of a crease there, but other than that, the backside looks really white and clean. It just looks like a really lovely copy. It looks as if it's just been released. So yeah, really nice, nice copy. And there's the songs. I liked obviously the hit singles, Two Kinds of Teardrops, Dream Baby, his version of the Roy Orbison song, another artist I'm a big fan of. Happiness, Two Silhouettes, his version of the Dion song, Run Around Sue, Kelly, and of course the title track, and his version of Bruce Channel's Hey Baby. And also there's the version of the Beatles, From Me to You, which was very similar to the original. And Del's version got to number 77 in the American charts, long before the Beatles had it out in America. So Del Shannon, in a way, was the first American to have a Beatles composition in the American charts. So yeah, that's another little bit of a tidbit facts there, which I've explained in another video. I think it was when I did the Stranger in Town Compendium box set. I kind of explained the story about how that kind of came about. One thing with this album in June in 1963 was that, for whatever reason, Big Top put on 3 previously released singles on the American edition, which were Hey Little Girl, Runaway, and Hats Off to Larry. Now, in the UK, London did a bit of a sensible thing and put on 3 songs that on this album that didn't make the US edition, which were Two Silhouettes, Mild Wild One, and From Me to You. Now, I don't know why Big Top couldn't have done what London Records did and put those songs out in the album, but different days, I guess, and I suppose Big Top kind of put those songs on just so that people would kind of sell them, because and this is on the London label, because this album actually kind of helped Big Top's finances in America, because Del's manager was a guy called Irvin Michenik, who was a bit of a hustler, and he was also a gambler, and he would take any of Del's royalties and just pay his gambling debts off with Del's royalties. So Del was ripped off, and Big Top, I think, were a bit under a bit of financial trouble, and basically a lot of their artists weren't getting paid for studio sessions. And Del found out about this when he came back from a tour of Israel and saw the president of the label there, and basically Del knew he was being ripped off by Irvine and just wanted out the contract, and that was kind of how things were going at this point. So yeah, but anyway, it's a really great album. One of my favourites from 1963, Little Town Flirt, and definitely one of my favourite Del Shannon albums as well. So then we kind of changed labels. He then, Del, after with his legal hassle, started his own label called Barely, a label he named after his mother and father. That kind of lasted after 2 singles and didn't really do anything. and then he got back with Irvin Mitchnick and Harry Bulk, who was his producer, and went on another label called Amy Records, and this is the album that came out, Handyman. So as I say, we're on the stateside. This was released in 1964, and again, this is a pretty good album, I must say. I liked his version of the Chuck Berry song Memphis, That's the Way Love Is, Ruby Baby, I'll Be Lonely Tomorrow, the title track Handyman, which was originally a Jimmy Jones song, but Del also made it a hit as well. Great version of the Roy Orbison song Crying, Mary Jane, Give Her Lots of Lovin', and his version of Twist and Shout as well, which is really good as well. And again, his version of the Peter and Gordon song World Without Love, which was a Lennon and McCartney composition. Again, this copy is mono. It only actually ever came out in mono. A lot of Del stuff is not easy to get in stereo. Well, actually, it never came out in stereo, Handyman. I don't know why that never happened. Maybe mono was like the format of the time and stereo wasn't yet to be the format. Or maybe they were going to do a stereo mix and it never got to fruition. Anyway, I've read the Brian Young book, Runaway with Del Shannon. That's how I kind of know a lot of these facts. I need to go back and read that book again. Maybe I should have done that before I did the video. But anyways, we're on the stateside label, as I said. And my copy, I found this on eBay for $5, which was really good, because this is quite a difficult one to get hold of, this album as well. But I managed to find it on eBay for like £5, which was really good. And it's got a bit of kind of, I don't know what you describe it, like a kind of weird marble effect in the vinyl, but it plays through fine. It doesn't skip or jump. There's no kind of sound quality effect. Maybe there is a few crackles, but you know, it doesn't affect the playback. It is a bit kind of cloudy as well, but other than that, it plays through all the way fine. It doesn't really jump or skip too much. It actually plays through okay, so can't complain too much about that. And again, quite a nice copy as well. There's not much kind of wear or ring wear on it. Bit of a kind of bump down this end, but other than that, not bad. There's Del Shannon Handyman from 1964. And this is where the gaps of the album start. I don't have Del Shannon Sings Hank Williams yet. I don't have 1,661 Seconds with Del Shannon. I don't have the 2 Liberty albums either. This Is My Bag. Sorry, the 3 Liberty albums, which are This Is My Bag, Total Commitment, and The Further Adventures of Charles Westover, which is his real name. Those ones are easy to get on eBay, but they're very pricey, particularly 1,661 Seconds with Del Shannon, This Is My Bag, and Total Commitment are like £30 on eBay. I'll probably will get those copies eventually if I don't find reasonably priced ones. That's the thing with some of these albums. I'd like to try and hold off a little while until I can find a reasonably priced copy. But if I can't get a hold of a reasonably priced one, then I usually try and go on eBay and yeah, that kind of thing. But anyways, I hope one reasonably priced one will turn up. I did actually see a stereo copy of This Is My Bag in stereo for £14. And I was going to get it, but I never got around to getting it, and somebody else got it, but hey-ho. I'm still going to keep my eye out for those albums, and hopefully they'll eventually kind of turn up. But we're going to skip now to the 70s, and we've got 1973's album, Live in England. This is taken from a concert at the Princess Club in Manchester, England, December 1972. Really good live album. Del was a really good live performer. There's like a DVD of his as well that I got from a DVD of a concert in Australia that I've got as well, which I've meant to show, which I've shown before on the channel, but anyway, that's a really good concert as well. So yeah, really good live album. Set list is pretty much standard, you know, the hits, but there are covers on here, like you get Roy Orbison's, the version of Roy Orbison's Crying on here. You also get a thing called Coopersville Yodel, which is basically Del playing the guitar and yodeling, and he gets the audience to kind of clap their hands and kind of stamp their feet, and then he kind of does it at a kind of fast pace as well. But he also has a song that he just brought out at the time called What's the Matter Baby, which is on here, so that's a really good song. I haven't heard the original studio version yet, but the live version, good in here. Live, yeah, pretty much really good live album. And we're now on United Artists. So this album is probably one of the probably one of most Del's popular albums. Probably his most popular album, I'd say. This one got a lot of good reception and good reviews at the time. So yeah, really good live album, definitely. It was a shame it was the only live album we've really had from Del Shannon, and the only one we've got that he was released in his lifetime. It'd been nice if we had like more live recordings come out, but who knows where those live tapes are? As I say, if any, there's probably weren't that many made, but there maybe could be some out there, but I just don't know where, you know. But anyways, great live album here, Del Shannon, live in England, 1973. And there wasn't really much studio output from Del in the 70s. He was mostly kind of focusing on producing other people's records, like Brian Hyland, and he was producing a group called Smith as well. And he was kind of doing package tours as well in both the US and UK. But in the UK, he was very much, you know, admired in the UK, which is why he toured there quite a lot. But throughout the years, little kind of greatest hits packages would come out, including this one. This is one called The Very Best of Del Shannon. This is a new one that I haven't yet shown on the channel. This will be in the next vinyl update. I've had this one since just before Christmas. So yeah, this is from a label called Contemporaries, which is one of the 45s that I just showed us from. Cover art. I like the picture they used, but they could have used the original photograph, which I'm just going to show here, which is this one on a Greatest Hits CD. I would have preferred it if they used this photograph instead of like a kind of... It looks like a kind of painting of the original photo. But anyway, it doesn't bother. It's alright, you know, it is what it is. Gatefold is a bit hard to see because the cover is black, but if I hold it up to the light, there's like the liner notes there. Explains about his whole career up to that point, and these are all the songs. So on this album, you kind of get the hits, but you also get a lot of rarer songs as well. Yeah, a lot of great rare ones in here, like, you know, The Answer to Everything, His Latest Flame, Broken Promises, Jodie, Move It On Over, The Wamboo, This Is All I Have to Give, Misery from the first album, Why Don't You Tell Him. Yeah, loads of great ones on here that are quite rare, but this is a really, really good compilation, double LP. Both LPs I mentioned, so I'm just going to show one of them. Here's the Contemporaries label, like a couple of birds on the label. And this one kind of goes red when you hold it up to light, because this record's distributed by Pi, and I'm not sure how Pi did their records, but they also distributed Elton John on the DGM label as well, and a lot of his DGM records will go red when you hold them up to the light, so this is kind of distributed from the same kind of label. Yeah, distributed by Pi. So yeah, really good compilation. This is definitely a good one to go for if you want to get Del Shannon on vinyl. This is a good one to go for, this double album. But there are other compilations I'll touch upon during the video. This is another one called And the Music Plays On. This is an album of songs that Del had done in 1967 with Andrew Loog Oldham, who was the manager and the producer for the Rolling Stones, which he did in London, and their intention was to put them out on an album, but the album never came to be, and it wouldn't be until 2006 when we got that album. But that's never been released onto vinyl, so this is a good way of getting those songs on vinyl. But there are like new ones on here added, like And the Music Plays On, which is one that he did with Dave Edmunds in 1974. That's been added on here. And there are other ones on here as well that are not from the era, like a song called Leaving You Behind. That's from 1968 according to the liner notes on here. But this is a nice compilation. The other thing is the cover is a bit kind of, it's like a dark night and there's a jukebox and there's kind of Del standing there, but you can't really see it, and you have to really look at the record up close to identify it. You have to be like holding the record in your hands to sort of see that it is Del, but it's a bit hard to see given it's quite a dark cover. But anyway, this one is on the Sunset label. This is one I haven't yet heard. I need to really kind of hear this one. So there's that one, quite an interesting one to have. Another greatest hits album, the Del Shannon Hit Parade. This is probably my go-to record for Del. This is one I play quite a lot. This has all his UK and American hits from 1961 to 65. You get the songs at the top there. This came out in 1980. So the songs at the top there, and these are all the songs when they charted, what position, and whether it was US or UK, and it just talks about the songs there. Quite an interesting little fact there. There's liner notes there and some nice pictures of Del. That's a good one there. The guitar, the singles, song, yeah. It even has like, this is quite cool because it's got a few rare ones in here. Like you get the version of Dream Baby, which is on the Little Town Flirt album, and you also get I Go to Pieces, this is his version, which he initially gave to Peter and Gordon in 1964, 65, and Del re-recorded it on the 1661 Seconds album, and this is the version that's on here. He also re-recorded it later on for one of the other albums I'm going to show just very shortly. So yeah, London label, as I say, London obviously released a lot of these records back in the sort of early 60s. And we're now in a different layout of a label now. Yeah, this is a really good one to find. One I play quite a lot, this record. So this one I would say is a probably good go-to if you want to get a Del Shannon greatest hits. This is one I would say track down and definitely get because it's a really, really good record. You get like the hits on here, which is pretty much what you would really need if you just want to have the hits. This is one for you. And here's another one that I recently picked up that I've not yet shown, but it's quite an interesting cover. It's just called Del Shannon, and it's part of a series called Countdown. It's like a interesting cover there, with like the like the way the lettering is kind of quite interesting on the cover. But it's a nice picture that they used there. Back, there's all the songs in the back. This copy's still in its sort of protective shrink wrap, which is quite nice to see there. Again, it has all the hits, but there are rare ones on here again. Like you get I Ran All the Way Home and Run Around Sue on here, so that's quite an interesting one. But there's only about 12 tracks on here, which, you know, it's not a lot, but still, you know, probably, this was probably aimed, you know, might not have been aimed at fans, but might have been aimed at like the casual record buyer who probably never had a Del Shannon record in their collection and might not, you know, get one again. Kind of, who knows, but it's quite an interesting one. I'd certainly never seen it before until I found it at my local record store. And it's on a label that I've never heard of called Dakota Records. There's a record there. So again, this is one that's going to be shown in the next vinyl updates. So that's quite a nice one to find. Still a nice one to find though, I must say. Just called Del Shannon. And then Del re-emerged at the start of the 80s with this album, Drop Down and Get Me, which this is an album that produced by Tom Petty, another artist I'm a really big fan of, and even members of Tom's band The Heartbreakers play on it as well, like Mike Campbell, Ben Montench, Stan Lynch, Ron Blair appears on a few tracks as well, and even there's a bass player in here called Howie Epstein who later played with Tom, joined Tom and the Heartbreakers as well. But yeah, this is a really great album. I like Sea of Love, which was the kind of hit single off the album, a cover of, not sure who originally did that song, Sea of Love, but I really like that one. Also really like Life Without You, great version of the Rolling Stones song Out of Time. The title track's great as well, Drop Down and Get Me. There's a good version of the Everly Brothers song, Maybe Tomorrow. Never Stop Trying's a great one as well, and Midnight Train's a great rocker as well. This came out in the UK in 1983, but it originally came out in 1981 in America. But they added a song in here called Cheap Love, which was not produced by Tom, but produced by Del Shannon and had other musicians on it. I think Del might have intended that track to be a follow-up to Drop Down and Get Me at some point in the future. But then it kind of came out in the UK only, that track, as a single and never was released on a an album, in America at least. But Del did record it during the Rock On sessions, which the album will explain in a minute. And I have done a video on that album as well, if you want to see that. But anyways, here's a nice picture in the inner sleeve, a nice picture of Del and Tom. Back of the inner sleeve has all the lyrics and who plays what and where it was recorded and who engineered the track. And when the track was recorded as well. So, like, for example, Sea of Love was recorded at Cherokee Studios in February 1981. And Maybe Tomorrow was done at Cherokee in May 1980. And those tracks in October 1979 as well, so yeah. And this one's on Demon Records, a label don't think I've ever really heard of. Oh, needs a bit of fixing there, but hey ho. Yeah, really great album. One that I've not heard for a while and definitely to play again at some point. This is, yeah, a great album though. Drop Down and Get Me. Then we get, as I say, the Rock On album, which was released posthumously in 1991. Yeah, another really great album. Probably my favourite Del Shannon album, I would say. Up there with Little Town Flirt and Drop Down and Get Me. And probably Runaway with Del Shannon as well. Songs there. Great ones in here are, the highlights are like Walk Away, Who Left Who, I Go Calling Out My Name, the re-recording of I Go to Pieces, What Kind of Fool Do You Think I Am, a cover of the Tam song, When I Had You, but the whole album is fantastic, just a brilliant, brilliant album. This one is produced by, a few tracks in here produced by Jeff Lynne, and there's a few tracks on here that are produced by Mike Campbell from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, and there's two tracks that are produced by both Jeff and Mike. But members of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers and Tom Petty himself appear on this album as well, which is one of my favourite all-time albums. I've actually done a video on this album where I review this album in detail. If you want to see me do that, you can go back and check over the channel. But I'll probably leave a link for it in the description below as well. Anyway, this in a sleeve tells you who plays on what track and the engineers and everything. So yeah, this was the album that Del was working on at the time of his death, and it was almost complete when he died. It was really left to kind of Jeff and Mike and Tom to do the finishing, to kind of finish off the album. But fortunately, they had all of, as I said in the video, they had all of Del's vocal and guitar parts laid down on tape, as stated in the inner sleeve notes from Dan Berghuis, who was of course Del's manager yeah, really great album. It's just a shame that Del never got to complete it, and it was a shame that he never lived to see the album get finished. He never lived to see it come out as well. But it's a brilliant, brilliant album, I must say. Definitely a great one. If you're Neil, if you're a Beatle, if you're kind of Jeff Lynne fan or Tom Petty fan, you'll definitely really like this album. Yeah, really great album, Rock On. Which, as I said, have reviewed on the channel, and if you want to see that, you can go back and check it out on the channel, but there will be a link for it in the description below. And the last album I have up is the Dublin Sessions. I meant to say that version of Rock On is the 2022 Red Vinyl Record Store Day reissue, or reissue rather. But anyways, this is the Dublin Sessions. This came out in 2017, and pretty good album, I must say. This album was like some sessions that Del did in Dublin in 1977 during his UK tour and Ireland tour there, with his band, who are a backing band called Smacky. And really good ones in here are Best Days of My Life, Till I Found You, Raylene, his version of Roy Orbison's Oh Pretty Woman, Another Lonely Night, Amanda, and Today I Started Loving You Again. Really good album. But the reason why this album, these songs didn't come out was because Del was going for a bit of a rough patch for this tour. He'd been doing a lot of drinking and kind of went into rehab in the 1978, and when around about that time he was getting together with Tom Petty to do the album Drop Down and Get Me, and as Dan Berghuis put it, the Dublin material just sort of fell into the rear view mirror. And he recorded the sessions, and he kind of shopped them back to various labels in America, but the labels weren't interested as well, which I've just sort of seen in the gatefold line notes, which is great, written by Del Shannon biographer Brian Young, which is really great and informative, and these nice pictures as well. And this is on a label called Rock Beat. So as I say, really, really great album. So that's it for the Del Shannon vinyl collection, but the video's quite not over yet because there are some things I want to show as well. You know, if you kind of want to get into Del Shannon, some of the great things you can get a hold of. If you kind of want to get started on Del Shannon in terms of CD, there are two ones I would recommend you get. First one up is this one. This is Del Shannon Greatest Hits. This is a CD that came out in 1990. This has all the original mono mixes of some of Del's hit singles, which if you like that kind of thing, if you like to have the original mono mixes, if you prefer mono of 60s recordings, this is a good CD to get hold of, if you can get hold of it, because this is an American release from Rhino in 1990, but it might be easy to get hold of on Amazon, and this one's got like 20 tracks in here, so this is pretty good if you just want those kind of, if that's all you really want from Del. It goes up from Runaway from 1961 and then up to Sister Isabel in 1970. So this is a really good CD to get hold of, if you can get hold of it. But if you can't find that one online or anywhere, if you can't get that CD, there is another alternative to go down, and it's this one, Runaway, the very best of Del Shannon. This is a 2010 CD release from Universal Music Television. And this pretty much goes through his entire career. Goes from Runaway, 1961, right through to the Rock On album in 1991. This CD is a very special one for me because this was my introduction to Del Shannon. I'd always known of him and I'd known of his songs, primarily because I liked a lot of 60s rock and roll music. And I'd always known of the name Del Shannon, primarily because of the influence he'd had on people like the Beatles, Jeff Lynne, and Tom Petty as well. So, and I found this CD. This is not the actual copy though. My original copy, the disc got lost. This is a replacement copy. I still have the case of the original one, actually. But this was a special one for me because I'd found this in a charity shop in Saltcoats. It was part of a 2 for £1, and I found this in another CD. And I kind of looked at this one and I thought, yeah, I'll give it a go. And if I don't like it, I can always take it to the charity shop again. And I put it on that night when I brought it home, and I just absolutely thought it was really, really good. I really enjoyed that CD. It's one that I've played quite a lot of times in the last sort of year and a bit since I bought it back in... I bought this back in October of 2023, this CD originally, because I had to replace it because I lost the original disc, as I say. But fantastic CD, and this is a good one if you want to get hold of. You just want the greatest hits of Del Shannon. This is definitely a good one to pick up if you can find that. But to people who want to get all the albums on CD, they are available, but the best way to do it is to get hold of this box set. This is Stranger in Town, a Del Shannon compendium. This has everything that Del Shannon recorded, all like the B-sides, A-side tracks, and the albums, and some even come with bonus tracks and even some previously unreleased material as well. And there's the back. So yeah, this has every album. This came out in 2023, and I bought this last year. I got it from Amazon for £67, which might be a bit pricey, but for 12 CDs, it was definitely worth it. I've done a video on this box set, but I'm still going to show it anyway. This is the booklet here, just explaining about all the albums and everything. A lot of nice pictures as well. And even a CD of like demos as well. So here's the first one. This is like 2 albums in 1 disc. This is Runaway and Hats Off to Del Shannon. And here's Little Town Flirt and Handyman. There's loads of great like B-side tracks and bonus tracks in here. which is definitely worth it for this set. Del Shannon sings Hank Williams in 1,661 seconds with Del Shannon. Disc 4 is This Is My Bag in Total Commitment. Oh dear, hang on, being knocked over. I'll just need to pick it up. Home and Away album, and some extra tracks as well. The Further Adventures of Charles Westover. Live in England and some single tracks. The Dublin Sessions and Drop Down and Get Me. The Nashville Sessions, which Del did some recordings from Warner Brothers in Nashville, but we had 2 singles, but there were tracks that were only available as like a fan club cassette, but now it's nice to have them all in one place in this CD box. Rock On. And these 2 tracks are rare tracks and demos. So these are like kind of demo songs, some that Del never completed, some that he did, or kind of. So it's nice to hear these really early versions of some of the songs here. And even in the first issue, you get a bonus of the Pepsi commercials, which is nice. Which Del, I think, did around at the time of 65, kind of 65 era. He did them. So that's my Del Shannon vinyl collection and some other things I've shown. That's it so far as of this day, as of February 8th, 2025. So yeah, still a work in progress, but still nice to. But still a work in progress. But I think I've got a good collection. What I've acquired so far. We've still got a bit to go though. So yeah. So anyway, but yeah, Del Shannon for me. He was one of those unique rock and roll artists. He influenced people like, you know, Tom Petty, Jeff Lynne, the Beatles, Bruce Springsteen. He just had an impact on rock and roll that's kind of a lot of people these days haven't acknowledged, and I've not really. There's not that many people I've seen on YouTube show their Del Shannon collections or vinyl collections, so I thought I would do something like that today since not that many people have done it, as far as I know anyway. I know that James Griffiths has a few Del Shannon albums in his collection. I know that some people do show a few Del Shannon albums in their collection, but not as ones that are big as mine. But anyway, so yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe, and I hope that this video kind of encourages you to go out and check out Del Shannon. It might not, but it's always worth a try anyway. But anyway, I hope you kind of got something from this video, and I hope you kind of got encouraged to go out and check it out, Del Shannon. Anyways, like, comment, subscribe, and see you next video. And long Del Shannon be remembered.